Hello, good morning. Welcome back to Soul, and thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Tuesday to those of you who are listening on a Tuesday, and I hope that you are having, a wonderful week. Today, I'd like to talk about something that can apply to many different areas of our lives, but it's actually inspired by something that my best friend told me when we went on a trip recently. Different people have different boiling points. Just like water has a specific boiling point that's different from other liquids, people reach their limits at different times. What feels unbearable to one person might still be manageable to another, not because one is stronger or weaker, but simply because we all experience things differently. So like I said, this came up in a recent conversation with my best friend. We were catching up with someone who had just left a toxic relationship, and she shared how, looking back, she saw the red flags, but only after a certain point. Her friends, however, had noticed them much earlier. My friend turns to her, and she said, "Your boiling point is different than theirs." And that's exactly it. Some people recognize the heat rising early and they jump out of the pot. Others don't realize how hot it's getting until they reach their own limits. Now, that doesn't mean that they are naive, stubborn, blind. It just means their boiling point was different. Now, this isn't just about relationships. It can apply to work, it can apply to school, personal growth, and life choices in general. I think about my friends who once worked for a big bank, one of those that get you working until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And she told me that some of her colleagues would literally sleep at their desks because the workload was so intense. For her, the boiling point came earlier. She realized the toll it was taking on her health, and even though at some point she actually moved to live closer, she decided to leave. Others stayed, not necessarily because they were trapped, but because their boiling points were higher, or perhaps their boiling points were just more adaptable to that environment. The takeaway? We can't judge someone's boiling point based on our own. It's easy to look at a friend in a difficult situation and say, I would never put up with that, and I myself am guilty. I see a lot of friends in relationships, and sometimes the dynamics they've got, I'm like, I would never put up with that. Or someone has a workload that is unimaginable to me. But the truth is, people process things at their own pace. The best thing we can do is offer support and not judgment. If you see someone in a pot that's starting to boil, be there for them. Point out the rising heat, but understand that they might not be ready to jump yet. And if you're the one reaching your boiling point, trust yourself. Know that when you're ready to step away from a relationship, a job, any situation that no longer serves you really, you're doing it on your timeline. And that's okay. At the end of the day, we all boil at different temperatures. What matters is that when we or the people we love start to feel the heat, we recognize it, support each other, and we make choices that align with what we truly need. And with that, I remind you that we always practice this step by step, day by day. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode, as you can see, was short and sweet, little food for thought on the boiling bit. I will see you next week on Soul.